contrast. Thank you, by the way. I would love to bring you Barbie. And there's a couple reasons why I want to bring you Barbie. When Ruth was speaking to us, oh, gosh, my breath, my goodness. When Ruth was speaking to us, one of the words she brought us was the concept of contradictions. And immediately what came to mind was the Barbie monologue and the idea of being a woman and how challenging it can be. And so that got me thinking, what would it look like if we, as a collective, created a new screenplay for the not-for-profit world? And so that's what I'd like to bring you today. So the first thing I would like to do is to update our sector's narrative about money. I would like us to remind ourselves that we are abundant, that money fills the spaces we create for it, that money will stretch to meet the needs of our communities if we commit and believe in it. I'd like to remind us all that money is a tool, not a goal. And I was reminded by that in one of the sessions I heard earlier when we were talking about foundations. They don't want us to only serve them. They want us to bring the challenges that we have. And the solution is not money. It's changing a behavior, an action, or a thought. So with that, we're going to build positive money mindsets. We're going to start talking and believing that the money is out there. There is $120 billion. How many zeros? Lots of zeros, too many for Barbie. $120 billion out there in our private and public foundations. It is available to us, and it's not a lack of money. It's a lack of belief that we are worthy of the money that is holding us back. Anybody? Yeah. So the business people, this is an interesting one. They make their living making money, building wealth, creating change. And then suddenly they come on as volunteers onto your fundraising committee, and they join the finance. And all of a sudden, the money is like glass. It might break if we spend it, right? How is that? How are we not challenging it? Let's not spend it, let's invest it. I'd like us to consider in our new screenplay that we are all going to build together that we become risk aware rather than risk averse. Anybody? Yeah, thank you. Amen. I have this idea for a screenplay. Anybody seen Liar, Liar by Jim Carrey, where he cannot tell a lie? Can you imagine if we had a world where there were these comedy bubbles over our heads, and only the fundraisers could see a person's net worth? How hilarious, right? Love it. The next thing that I would do is I would write a screenplay where the charitable sector is a shining example of healthy workplaces. We have the opportunity to do it. Let's talk about our staff. Let's talk about you guys. You are the single most important asset. You don't even compare to the photocopier, just to be clear, okay? And so remembering, too, that when you leave, we know this from Penelope Burke's research, you leave a gaping hole, which takes up to 18 months to get somebody up there, up to that level. So the next time you're thinking about a raise of 2%, 4%, 6%, don't think about what it's going to cost you. Think about how that person's going to change the dynamic in the office and what it costs to lose them. You know that old expression, what happens if we invest in them, they leave? Yeah, but what happens if we invest in them and they stay? And by the way, while we're on this, can we stop the flip, flop? I go to this job, I take a $2,000 job here, a little bit more, so I can get the experience to go back to that job. And we're doing this thing where we're killing all of our organizations. Let's find ways for people to grow up in our organizations, to grow through. Because you know that if you are not thinking about the next person's raise or the next person's portfolio management approach, you know they're thinking about it. Which side do you want to be on? Oh, PD budgets. Professional development budgets. Now, I realize I'm biased here, folks. I am an executive coach, and I am a passionate believer in leadership, and particularly women's leadership. But can we stop putting on the line items of expense, and can we start talking about it as an investment in our future workplaces? That is a screenplay I'd like to read. Woohoo! Okay, so we're almost there. Yeah. So we talked about personal money mindset. How can we be a sector that is working to eradicate things like homelessness and poverty while still paying some of the lowest salaries anywhere? And let's go, yeah. And let's go even further, that when we talk about decent work, we're gonna have to address the fact that in not-for-profit, 80% of us are women. And yet when you look at the senior leadership suite, that does not translate. So, for example, let me give you some stats. Jenny Mitchell with stats. This is a moment, we should all take a picture. We know that from the research that 80% of the workforce is female. 1/3 of Canada's workforce, this is globally, not just not-for-profit, 1/3 is held by women. So that's management, board, pipeline to the board leadership. If you disaggregate that information down, the women of color represent 6.2% of that. That was the stat that really surprised me. And overall, we still only have 4% of Canada's CEOs are women. We can do better, and we can start that conversation. I know we can. I would update the screenplay so there would be no more not-for-profit martyrs. There would be nobody that would need to have a toxic workplace or would need to use their dominance to assert their ability in the job. And we would have a place where all leaders start with radical self-compassion and caring for themselves so that they can care for others. And so when that employee comes to you, I see a lot of nodding, but let's actually make it happen in the screenplay. When they come to you and say, they have a challenge, rather than saying, how are we going to do the golf tournament without you? We say, your mental health is important to me. How can I support you? Yep. One more, crucial conversations. Our work is too important to not have the crucial conversations that need to happen in our staff and our board. And I know that board member has a wonderful idea, and I know they think they know lots about fundraising. I know they do, because they're a lawyer. Sorry, but I mean that with love. And so how do we broach those conversations? How do we lean in? How do we listen? You have to be healthy to have crucial conversations. And so to be healthy, you need to take care of you, whatever that means for yourself. And you don't need to prove your worth through overachieving, hurdle jumping, and generalized overdoing. Now, I say that. I am a self-confessed hurdle jumper, full steam ahead here. I love gold stars. They are the definition of my self-worth for many, many years, okay? And we are gonna have to sort of unpack this together. But I am committed to the journey, and I'm committed to the screenplay, if you are. So what if we shifted our mindset from a sprint to a marathon? What if we stopped talking about tomorrow and started talking about everything in its own time? I love that idea. Final thoughts. The characters in our updated screenplay take responsibility for their actions. They choose radical responsibility and personal power. What does that mean? A lot of words, eh? It means that every one of us is sovereign, and that everybody understands that there are power imbalances, and that the people with the most power own that. That they take responsibility for the room, and they share it with the others. Henry Ford said, he had a great phrase. He said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. And so at the end of this speech, in this updated screenplay, the final thing I'd like to write in with all of you today is that we stop apologizing for our work. If Aritzia can be in my inbox 20 times a week telling me about the nice 3/4 length baby blue pants that I must have for the season, and the Ottawa Senators can send me texts on a daily basis for my next tickets that I need to buy, then surely we can overcome the couple of grumbly people that don't like getting our emails. Agree? All right, love it. So we are now going to be part of a special giving club that all of you are ambassadors for. And so at the end of my Barbie presentation, I hope I have challenged you. I hope I've probably reminded you of some things that you already knew. but that collectively we have an opportunity to change. So, the choice is yours. Which Barbie are you going to be? Compassionate Barbie? Considerate Barbie? Listener Barbie? Thoughtful Barbie? Leader Barbie? Ambitious Barbie? Or, where's Fraser? Yoga Barbie. The choice is yours. Thank you.